Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I have a couple of messages to share with you, or should I say one message with a couple of different stories that I want to share with you guys today. One that happened to me just yesterday that's kind of funny, was a little bit life-threatening, but it ended up being funny. And the other one, quite traumatic actually, something that happened in my life over a year ago now, and something that I've only really been able to bring back some action toward. And I really want to talk to you guys about both of those stories in the hope that they really highlight the real meaning and intention that I have behind today's message for you guys, which is really one that sparks us, hopefully all, into action, into meaningful action, into the kind of action that makes sure that we live a totally regret-free existence. And so this message is going to be for anybody who is in particular, maybe you've got some life challenges, like, who doesn't, right? Who doesn't have any sort of life challenges? But basically, if you are sitting on the fence with maybe taking action, or also we want to look at like how you've kind of wired yourself instinctively to respond to, challenging or emergency kind of situations. This one's going to be for you. If you want to wake up to be somebody who is in maximum control of your own destiny, and like I said, guiding your life by being regret-free, right? Taking action in the right directions, having the confidence and the courage to do so, and guiding your life away from the life that you don't want to live and towards the life that you would be totally inspired to live. All right, so no matter what area of life you may be challenged with right now, I'd ask you to bring it to mind. So what is the biggest challenge that you're faced with right now? Or maybe a situation that you've kind of tucked under the covers a little bit and, kind of waiting for the time that you might be ready to kind of address it. Today's message will serve you and support you, or at least that's my intention, to come out the other side and be more empowered by it. All right, so today's message is to let your actions be guided by a strong and abiding trust in your own ability to handle any of life's inevitable challenges. Okay, so you guys have heard me say time and time again that it is in inaction that breeds fear and doubt, right? When we don't take any action, we just operate in action. That breeds fear and doubt. And when we take action, it breeds more confidence and courage. All right. And so I want to start off with the funny story to tell you guys, and then I'll get more into the traumatic one after we've just warmed ourselves up a little bit. But the funny story that happened to me to highlight today's point is that yesterday I was out at the shops, and then when I got back in the car, a little light came on that I hadn't seen before, and I thought, that's a bit weird, but just on the way home, driving on the way home. And when I was about a couple of minutes away from my home, coming down a hill, all the dashboard lights went on, it was beeping, and the speedometer went down to 0, right? And the car was still driving, but I was like, what the hell, right? Like, it was a bit of an emergency situation, driving down a hill, and a bit concerned about what the hell has happened to my car, never experienced it before, some sort of mechanical issue. And basically, I didn't know what was going to happen. Now, at that time, it was, I didn't have much time to think about what I was really going to do, because I was in mid-action of driving a car that was flying down a hill, right? And basically my instincts told me to just, because I was only a short distance from home, was to just, drive carefully, stay close to the side, and be ready to kind of pull the car over, right? If, it conked out completely or whatever happened. And so my instincts took over, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to keep going, right? Like, some people might go, you know what? I'm going to pull the car straight over no matter where I am right now. Like, this is dangerous. My instincts didn't take me in that direction. My instinct was to try my best to get home, and it just so happened that I managed to make it all the way home, albeit that my car is kind of parked in like a funny angle on the side of the street, because it literally just conked out and the steering wheel locked up and seized up as I got out the front of my house, right? So my risk taking, some people might see it as, or my instinct to see, well, what's going to happen here, did get me home, right? Safely. I didn't have control necessarily over what was exactly going to happen, but it's a good example of how allowing our actions to be guided by a strong and abiding trust in your ability to figure whatever it is out, right? To handle any of the challenges. So, I just trusted that I was going to be able to, no matter what happened, I was going to be able to figure it out, right? I didn't have the worst case scenario in my mind. I didn't even really have the best case scenario in my mind, but I was trusting in my own ability to handle whatever was going to happen between the lights going on and my speedometer dropping to zero, to get me home, to the point of getting home, right? And it just so happened it paid off for me because, now the insurance company can tow my car and it can go to a mechanic and whatnot. But I know that's such a minuscule little story to tell that highlights this story of, or this message, I should say, of letting your actions be guided by that strong and abiding trust in your own ability to handle whatever life throws at you, right? But let's also apply it to our other areas of life, because I actually think that when you look at how your instincts take over, when you're faced with an emergency situation where you're not given time to really contemplate about the right decision to make and your instincts take over, however we've wired ourselves through our experiences, through our beliefs, and, particularly on our belief in our ability and our trust in ourselves to handle, whatever life throws at us. Basically that wiring time and time again will show up in your instincts. And that's why we see everybody handling that same situation in a bunch of different ways, right? And it doesn't mean that one way is worse or better than the other, but my question to you is, what's your instinct? What would your instinct tell you to do? And it doesn't mean that, you're wrong and I'm right, or vice versa. But it just gives you kind of an entry point as to how you handle things, right? And how much trust you have in yourself to figure things out. Now, of course, you can be operating from a place of complete naivety and stupidity, right? And just do the completely wrong thing, the thing that's super high risk, and most likely to be a worst case scenario. And that's probably not the greatest thing to do, right? To take the risk. But just looking at it from this perspective of how you innately trust yourself or not trust yourself in terms of your ability to figure things out. I wasn't completely naive to the fact, or I wasn't on a busy highway, I was in quiet suburban streets. So it wasn't a huge risk that I was taking. I was going on the edge of the road, so nobody would be affected, right? So it wasn't a huge risk, but I did trust in my ability to handle it. Now, I want to tell you a different story, all right? So now this other one is something that all right, so you guys who've been watching me for a while now, and particularly over the last year and a half, you would have heard me speak into, a pretty traumatic experience that I went through with a very unethical organization that I ended up spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with, putting a lot of my trust in people who ended up being kind of like just sales guys, right? Who just talk a big game and don't deliver on their promises. And that ended up all being coupled with being propositioned by the owner of the company, and putting me in kind of a very awkward position where, just honestly, I felt like a actress in front of Harvey Weinstein, right? I honestly felt like this person at the time held the keys to my success, and I felt like they were the kind of person who, if you upset them, they would tear you apart, right? So I was pretty terrified of losing this person as a coach, a business coach. And also I was terrified of what would happen if he felt rejected in any way, shape or form, what he would do about it. Because I'd watched him tear other people down, try and tear other people's reputations down, all sorts of things, right? And I had to deal with all of this with my then partner in the next room while this guy was propositioning me, right? And so it was a very challenging situation that was honestly pretty traumatic, right? And you guys know me, I use every experience in life to grow myself, and I can look at it from the angle of, yes, it was, money well spent in terms of the lessons that I've learnt, but basically, like, that all happened about a year ago or a year and a half ago now, and it kind of started happening. And basically, between then and now, I went through a bit of a dark rabbit hole with a lot of people coming forward, sharing similar stories to what I'd experienced, and quite honestly, much worse stories with people who really went down that avenue, right? Luckily, I had I don't know how I did it, right? My instincts took over and I managed to get myself out of a situation that could have turned really bad, right? Basically, I kind of had in my mind, like, they didn't deliver on any of the business promises of what I spent all my money on. But I kind of took the personal development realm and figured, you know what? I paid all that money for the life lessons that were necessary for me to learn if I want to stop being so naive, because I was pretty naive in that situation, and wake up and be really wise about my choices and how I'm operating in the world and who I put my trust in, and all that good stuff, right? Because I kind of was in the mentality of, if you're somebody, helping people in this realm, you must have a heart of gold, you must, be driven so altruistically, and all these naive kind of ways of being that I'd kind of projected on everybody, right? And that kind of bit me in the bum a little bit. And basically, like I said, it was a good learning experience, but it was honestly pretty traumatic, and there was a lot of intimidation going on, lots of stuff, right? And basically, I kind of just put the label on that, lessons learnt, move on with my life, right? And just recently, I guess I've done like enough of there's been enough time and space and healing and growth that's occurred for me to get to this next stage where I was just kind of a bit like, you know what, it's probably not okay. I think that there is some action that I probably should take that would make me, no matter what the result, it would make me feel a lot more confident and courageous within myself, and who knows if it could potentially save others from going down the same path, right, and having those same experiences. I'm sure I wish that other people had come forward before I invested in that organization, right, because it might have prevented me from having to experience that, albeit I can see it in the personal development realm and get some value from that. But basically, I am now taking today's message of letting my actions be guided by a strong and abiding trust of my own ability to handle any challenge that comes my way. And what had previously prevented me from going more into the realm that I am now had been just, I'd seen other people's experiences trying to rectify the situation, and just, they were getting no help. There was no support. They were being kind of traumatized by going through that whole process and all sorts of stuff, right? So I just thought, you know what? I'm wiping my hands clean of this. I'm not going to waste my time and energy, in this kind of really negative way. And I'm going to take the lessons, learn from them, move on. But now, like I said, I've gotten to this place where I've realized, I needed to kind of wipe my hands clean of that. At that point, that was healthiest for me. And right now I'm at a place where I'm more trusting in myself and knowing that if I don't do anything that I think is right and would be in alignment with the type of person that I'd be proud to be, I won't be rid of this, right? It'll be something kind of hanging in the background a bit still. And so I'm kind of dredging up the past a little bit in order to take the right actions. No matter what the result, I'm going to be proud of myself for, and it's going to allow me to build higher levels of trust within myself because I feel like I'm doing the right thing, right? I'm operating in my highest values, and I'm not just kind of spiritually bypassing, which is basically what that is, which is put a beautiful, like coating over it and call it personal development and I'll take the lessons, but let people out there, treat other people in a really unethical, poor way, right? And so, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And the reason why I wanted to share those couple of just small, the first one's just a small, like funny example of what happened to me yesterday with my car doing malfunctioning, right? Mid-driving, right? But, the second story that I share with you, it's not an easy thing for me to dredge up, to be honest. But like I said, I know that if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to look back on it and say, why didn't you stand up for yourself? Why didn't you just speak the truths? Why didn't you just take the necessary actions? Why didn't you take the actions that showed yourself that you trust yourself to be able to handle whatever challenge comes your way? And, you're not attaching to the end result, but what you're doing is you're aligning with the quality of person that you would be proud to be, so you are regret-free. Because anytime you don't take actions that in your heart of hearts are the right actions to take and are aligned with what you value and are aligned with the quality of person that you'd be proud to be, when you don't take those actions, you breed fear and doubt into your existence. You breed a distrust into your own ability to handle any of life's inevitable challenges. And so my question to you today is, what is the action in your life? What challenge are you currently not taking any action towards? Maybe you're avoiding it. Maybe you've sugarcoated it, right? And maybe it needs to be kind of seen for what it actually is so that you'll be inspired to take the right action with courage, right? And, the aim of our lives, my mum actually asked me this yesterday. She said, Vanessa, what's your biggest fear in life? And that hasn't changed. My biggest fear in life is getting to the end of my life knowing full well that I didn't live up to my potential and totally regretting it. Totally regretting all the things that I didn't take action on, that I knew I should have, that I knew were inspiring, and now I never know, and now life's over, right? That's my biggest fear. And when you think about life that way, right? If you ask yourself at the end of your life, what would be your biggest fear, right? And you can see, maybe it's the same as mine, maybe it's totally different, but see what that is. And instead of just living day to day and comfort to comfort, and we can do it on Monday, or I'll do it next year or whatever, start living your life as if you don't have all that much time, right? And start living your life as if you were the person that you would be most proud to be, and you lived with an intention of being completely regret-free. And the only way you're going to become regret-free is if you take the actions in the face of the unknown, in face of the uncertainty. And the way you have the courage to take those actions is to trust in your own ability to handle things, right? Is to trust in your ability to always figure things out. And the only way you're going to develop the trust in your own ability to handle things is if you take the bold move, even when you are uncertain, in the right direction that aligns with the person that you would be most proud to be, in full alignment with what you value most, in full alignment with a regret-free existence. All right. So you're not going to create the life that you want by not taking any action or avoiding or sugarcoating things that really need to be faced. And look, albeit I've needed to, just focus on taking the good from that pretty traumatic experience that I went through and focusing on that, that's where I've needed to be for the past year and a half, right? I've really needed to focus on the good and wipe my hands clean of that. But now I feel like there's been enough time and space for me to heal and grow in the areas that I most need to in order to now take a different set of actions. And that means I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm looking at it and I'm going, what would I do if I was the person that I'd be most proud of myself to be, fully in alignment with my values, and what right action would I want that could potentially save other people, or I'm not trying to save other people, but it could possibly have a positive impact, and the impact that I would love people who came before me to actually have the courage to have done, so maybe I wouldn't have had to experience that, right? And so, yeah, like I said, where is it in your life where there's something that you may be avoiding, or there's something that, you haven't been taking actions that align with the person that you'd be proud to be, and that would create a regret-free existence. Whether it's in your relationships, a relationship that you have, a business opportunity that maybe you keep putting off, maybe it's in, a family relationship, maybe it's in your finances, maybe it's in terms of a course that you'd be wanting to do, whatever it is. Like, what is the thing that you may be avoiding? And ask yourself honestly, how much do I trust in my own ability to handle life's inevitable challenges or the repercussions of my actions? And, like I said, every time we venture into the unknown or the uncertain, we're going to get terrified. We're going to want to stop. We're going to want to just avoid, right? But just know that all the beauty, all the trust that you need to have within yourself to achieve the things that you're most inspired by, to create real fulfillment, to create a life of real meaning in this world, they all start with you having the courage to take the right action, which will inevitably build your own trust within yourself and make sure that you're living the life that you choose to live rather than default into one you just don't want, right? So I hope that this message and me sharing these couple of stories definitely do resonate with you and just get you thinking how you can apply it to your own life. And I'd love, love, love to hear from you guys. So if you've got any questions or comments or words of wisdom that you'd love to share, please do drop me a comment. And if you're watching the replay, you can drop some comments below and I'll get back to you. And definitely, if you're willing to take on the challenge of looking at your own life and then looking and identifying what actions you want to be guided by that trust in your ability to handle things, I'd love to hear from you, your experiences down the track. So awesome. So let me check in with you guys. I've got Kenny and Vickers. Seeing you after a long time. Hope you're doing well, Vanessa. I totally am, Vickers, and I hope you are as well, my friend. Great to see you. And Ronnie's here, and Goldie, hello to you. And Tavis, haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully things are well down under. They are. Thank you, Tavis. Good to have you back, my friend. And Mike's here as well. And Jerry, hi Vanessa, lucky to see you live before going to sleep. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing amazingly well. And Marlon's here, and Pandy and Bill, awesome. Bill, hello, thanks for sharing a piece of your inspirational story. You understand the power of your own thoughts now, and there's no going back. Beautiful to see, you're unstoppable. I appreciate you so, so much, Bill. Thank you so much for those kind words. And yeah, definitely, you are the only one who lives within you, right? Like, you can't run away from yourself. And if things feel incongruent, it means that it means that you're dispersing your energy in too many different directions, this way, that way, so you've got all these inner conflicts. And what we want to do is we want to become really attuned to what those inner conflicts are for us as an individual. And we want to rectify those so that what we're doing is we're gathering all of our energy. So it's no longer conflicting and wasting itself upon those inner conflicts, but instead we're channeling it into all of those right directions. But we've got to be able to introspect. We've got to be able to tap into where those conflicts are And, sometimes we need to hide some of those things from ourselves with the sugarcoating in order to heal enough so that we're not just reopening traumatic wounds and experiences. And sometimes we have to have that time to be able to get to the place where we can reintegrate those two aspects as well. So love that, Bill. So appreciate you sharing and being here, my friend. And so I hope that today's message has definitely served you guys, definitely resonated. And if it has been of value and you know anybody in your life who could benefit from today's message, then please do share it with them. I love getting into the hearts and the minds of other exceptional human beings just like you. And I really want to thank you guys for showing up live today. My energy is pretty low today because of everything that I've been kind of dredging up and the actions that I'm taking. And I just want to remind you that you've got to be willing to experience, the challenge, the energy that I'm feeling right now. It's not the high, passionate, joyful energy that I love so much. It's kind of deeper, darker, more kind of, going into those dark places. And we've got to be willing to go into the darkness within so that we can ultimately, heal ourselves and generate more light in our lives as well. And so a lot of times we avoid doing the things or facing the things that we need to because we don't want to feel that way. We don't want to re-experience it. But just let me tell you right now, I am always willing to go into the darkest places because I trust in my growth, right? I trust that when I go there, I'm going to go there and I'm going to grow from it so that I can transcend it, right? In a healthy way that addresses it, doesn't just sugarcoat it. And if we don't have the courage or the belief in our trust in ourselves to be able to handle the darkness, what we do is we're not actually avoiding that thing. It just remains unresolved, snowballing within, taking up all of our energy that, again, like I said, we want to redirect and rechannel in the right directions consciously. But we have to be willing to go to the dark places in order to recollect those parts of ourselves that have, scattered. And we want to, rechannel them in a conscious direction that we're inspired by. That's one of the pathways of reaching our potential. So I know it's tough, I know it's challenging, but my hope for today is that me sharing what I have with you today inspires you to just take the bull by its horns, right? And go into those places you've been avoiding to set yourself free in a really healthy way that you're not repeating the past, you're actually transcending it. Okay, so that's awesome, awesome, awesome. So hope that that has been valuable to each and every one of you. And also, you guys know I'm always reminding you to go out there and honor your authenticity, to deepen your intimacy, and to contribute meaningfully and purposefully. And we've just got a last comment here from Mike. Trust your intuition, Vanessa, that feeling in your gut, your heart. You're such a beautiful soul. Thank you for sharing your message today. Mike, thank you so much for those kind words. You are so appreciated, my friend, and absolutely great message for all of us. Trust your gut, trust your heart, follow through, align with what is true for you. And like I said, be the person that you would be most proud to be by living in alignment with what you value and taking the bold and courageous actions in the right direction, right? The ones that you don't regret. And they might be scary, but what's offered for you on the other side is a really deep, abiding trust within yourself to be able to continuously handle any and all of life's inevitable challenges. That's the greatest tool that you could ever hope to have in your tool belt of life. So I hope that you each and every one of us build that and have it in the tool belt ready to roll. And thank you so, so much to everybody again who's been able to join me. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Much love.